hold your breath, because what I'm about to reveal to you now is a behind-the-scenes move that could change the fate of our franchise forever. There is a secret strategy circulating in the halls of the Commanders. The front office is ready for a masterstroke that could multiply our firepower in the draft and save this aging roster. I'm going to show you why taking a step back on the board could be the smartest play of the Dan Quinn era, but that's not all. I've identified 4 crucial names that cannot slip by unnoticed. Among them, a vertical weapon that scouts are calling the perfect partner for Terry McLaurin, and if he arrives, no one can stop our offense. And stay tuned, because soon I will introduce you to the player who embodies the Dan Quinn style. Raw strength, extreme power, and an all-American status that could be our golden pick at the 7th position. If you want to know who these names are before everyone else, you're in the right place. But before I spill the beans, hit the like button on the video now. It's just one click, and it helps me a lot to bring this exclusive content to you. All the attention leading up to the 2026 NFL Draft has been intensely focused on what will happen in the first round. As a fan who tracks every move, I know these early picks receive all the media attention. This has been even more evident for the Washington Commanders, who will have various options at their disposal when it's their turn to choose. With the 7th overall pick, the Commanders have a golden opportunity to bolster the team. Although first-round talents are always the center of attention, General Manager Adam Peters has done a fantastic job by securing high-level players in the later rounds of the draft. It's never a good decision to dismiss players selected in the later rounds of the draft as players who won't stick, or as players just for the practice squad. So let's take a look at some of the best underrated players in the late rounds that the Commanders cannot afford to lose and who could become key pieces. Eric Rivers, wide receiver from Georgia Tech, is one of the first names to consider. A legitimate vertical threat for the Yellow Jackets, Rivers did not receive the spotlight at Tech that many others do elsewhere in the country. Rivers averaged 14 yards per reception last season and ran the 40 yards in 4.35 seconds. This further exemplifies his ability to consistently beat defenders on long passes. Last season, teams cheated by closely marking Terry McLaurin, so getting Rivers in the late rounds of the draft would give the Commanders someone capable of drawing safeties away from McLaurin and opening up space in the opposing defense. Rivers would also add immediate value to special teams as a coverage specialist. Washington CB Takario Davis is another name that deserves special attention. Hampered by multiple injuries in his last collegiate season at Washington, Davis's value plummeted despite his exceptional physical build and tenacious playing style on the perimeter, where he demonstrated the ability to hold up in man coverage against quality receivers. Davis led the Arizona Wildcats, his previous team before Washington, in passes defended, and he could become a high-level starting cornerback as long as his health allows. Eli Heidenreich, running back and wide receiver from the Naval Academy, is an intriguing option. Military academy players are often overlooked in the NFL draft, but Heidenreich is a legitimate weapon on offense, and it may be an opportunity that the Commanders cannot afford to miss. With the Navy's reception record set for 2025, Heidenreich is not just a receiver, but also a competent runner. In a system that will rely on different formations and versatility under the command of David Blau, Heidenreich is the kind of multifaceted player who can catch passes coming out of the backfield, or effectively play in the slot. Jalen Husky from Maryland is another promising player that cannot be overlooked. A hometown player and transfer from Bowling Green, Husky is a safety with a keen eye for interceptions, having recorded 7 interceptions over the last 2 seasons impressively. While he may fall short in terms of pure speed, his instincts are the true differentiator that makes him valuable. For a secondary defense that struggled at all levels last season, Husky's ability to read the quarterback's eyes would be a low-risk play. And high return for the Commanders' defense. Florida edge Tyreek Sapp is the last name to consider. Sapp is seen as a hybrid player at the next level where he lacks in flexibility. To pressure the quarterback from the edges, he more than compensates with an exceptional ability for aggression and consistent run containment. In the new scheme from defensive coordinator Durante Jones, Sapp could be seen as the ideal piece, capable of playing both on the edge and in the middle of the defensive line. And now, get ready for the smart strategy. You will discover why the Commanders are open to trading down in the first round. The Commanders currently hold 6 picks in the upcoming draft in a limited manner. However, only 2 of them are among the first 146 selections, which is a significant limitation. And Washington is a team that needs rookie reinforcements in various different positions. Therefore, a trade down to a lower position on the first day of the draft could be something to watch closely. As John Keem and Jordan Reed from ESPN write, the Commanders' preference would be a small trade down in the first round order in order to add a selection on the second day of the draft. Washington is positioned to select 7th overall in a draft with few stars and genuine promising quarterbacks. General Manager Adam Peters admitted that this will likely make it difficult to create a favorable market for teams looking to move up into the top 10 of the draft. However, the Cowboys may be poised to make a strategic trade from the 12th position. The possibility of a trade within the same division could lead to an interesting storyline as the countdown to the draft continues in the coming days. In any case, Peters and his team face the challenge of adding impact rookies to one of the oldest rosters in the league, with limited draft capital. Unsurprisingly, Reed adds that wide receiver and cornerback are positions that Washington will likely prioritize. At the beginning of the draft, clearly. De'Ami Brown and Van Jefferson were signed in free agency, but Deebo Samuel remains unsigned. And there has been little recent movement regarding Brandon Ayuk. This could leave the Commanders with the possibility of selecting Carnell Tate, should he still be available. With the 7th pick and no compelling offer to move up in the draft arising, Washington added Amik Robertson and Ahkello Witherspoon to its cornerback roster, taking advantage of the absence of other important players. Marshawn Lattimore, however, is still a free agent, while Jonathan Jones and Noah Igbenogana have left the team. It is likely that all the top cornerback prospects from the 2026 class will be available when the Commanders make their first pick in the draft. Consequently, selecting Mansour Delane or Jermud McCoy could be a seriously considered option. The trade of Laramie Tunsil deprived Washington of its own picks in the 2nd and 4th rounds. From the 2026 draft in a significant way, the Commanders should still be able to add some standout rookies to the roster, but Peters' efforts to acquire additional picks will likely increase in the coming days. And now, to close with the perfect pick, you will understand why Ruben Bane Jr. could be the ideal choice for the Commanders at the 7th position. The Washington Commanders and general manager Adam Peters understood that they needed to urgently improve their defense this offseason. And they also understood that this starts at the front line, pressuring the opposing quarterback. They bolstered the roster in free agency by signing Odafe Owe, Clavon Chason, and Charles Omenihu, who joined Dorrance Armstrong, Dietrich Wise Jr., and Javonte Jean-Baptiste. However, they may not be done bolstering the pass rushers group, since Zachary Pareles of CBS Sports predicts that the Commanders will select perhaps the most pro-ready defensive lineman. For the professionalism of the class, Ruben Bane Jr. of the Miami Hurricanes in his latest draft simulation. WSH acquires the most technically sophisticated trench defender for the defense. And on one hand, the Commanders are, in my opinion, candidates to trade back, Pareles wrote clearly. On the other hand, should Ruben Bane and or David Bailey be available, I have a hard time imagining they would pass on the chance to draft one of them. Bane plays with a lot of strength, extreme power, and tireless effort. Coach Dan Quinn preaches an aggressive brand of football, and Bane embodies that idea. Bane's statistics, work ethic, and persistence speak volumes on their own. The awards followed naturally. He was named ACC Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2023, ACC Defensive Player of the Year in 2025, selected to the first team All-American in 2025, and winner of the Ted Hendricks Award in 2025. A technical genius with a high football IQ, Bane also possesses an innate ability to combine strength and speed, which should translate well to the next level, that consistently prioritizes versatility. Although there is much speculation surrounding his size, arm length, flexibility on the defensive line, and past off-field issues. This should not deter top teams in the draft, considering his performance at the collegiate level. A truly violent player and passionate about the game, Bane would be a great addition to any team, but does it make sense for the Commanders to make this pick? The fit is the main question. While Bane would fit perfectly into the Commanders' defense, the group is somewhat crowded at the moment considerably. If they opted for this strategy and Bane were available, they would likely need to part ways. With some other players on the roster who were not signed this offseason, it seems more likely that the Commanders will opt for a linebacker or secondary player. With the 7th overall pick in the draft, Dan Quinn's strategy with Ruben Bane Jr. would be revolutionary for the Commanders' defense. Bane brings an aggressive mentality that aligns perfectly with Quinn's philosophy. His ability to play both defensive end and defensive tackle offers flexibility to the defensive scheme. The violence with which Bane plays is exactly what Quinn looks for in his defenders. Not only does he pressure the quarterback, but he does so aggressively and tirelessly. This is exactly what the Commanders' defense needs to compete in the NFC East. Ruben Bane Jr. also brings a winning mindset from Miami, where he won championships and individual awards. This experience in winning is invaluable for a team that wants to reach the Super Bowl. Bane knows what it takes to win at the professional level. Bane's combination of strength and speed is rare among defensive linemen. He can outmaneuver larger defenders with his technique and speed. This makes him a versatile player who can be used in multiple ways. As a Commanders fan, I am hopeful that Adam Peters seriously considers Ruben Bane Jr. with the 7th pick. His addition would transform the defense into a true force. I hope Peters makes the right choice and brings Bane to Washington. So, fan, after discovering 5 promising players that the Commanders cannot miss in the draft, understanding that the Commanders are open to trading down in the first round to gain more picks, And knowing that Ruben Bane Jr. could be the perfect pick for the Commanders at 7th overall, which of these strategies leaves you feeling more hopeful? Do you believe the Commanders should really keep the 7th pick for Ruben Bane Jr., or would it be smarter to trade down to acquire more picks and address multiple needs? And more importantly, do you trust that Adam Peters will make the right choices in the draft to maximize the opportunity window with Jaden Daniels? Or are we just delaying the inevitable and need more drastic changes in the organization? Leave your opinion in the comments. I want to know what you think about the future of the Washington Commanders.